Knowing how to trade stocks is one thing, but how do I find the stocks to trade in the first place? Well, here's how I personally have my chart set up to help optimize my scanning, because opportunity requires being at the right place at the right time. So the platform I use for all of my charts is Thinkorswim. So this tutorial will be based on this platform specifically, but it shouldn't be too hard to replicate something very similar on any other platform. So first, on my main PC, this is where I do all of my trading. All right, this is where I have all of my multiple time frame charts that you see me use on my live trading videos, the 1, 2, 5, 15-minute, hourly, and the daily. But what you don't see is over here in the corner, I also have a weekly and monthly chart, which are mostly used for swing trading. And I'll show you what I do with all of this later. Now over to this side, this is where I have my second PC. This is where I have all of my thumbnail charts. This is where I do all of my scanning. I like to trade gaps. So every day I always have a new list of stocks to watch. I already made a video on how I put together my gaps list every morning. If you want to check that out, I'll link it on the screen right now. So as I go through that list in the pre-market, I populate the symbols in order from my top favorites to my least favorites on these thumbnail charts. Now I get asked pretty often about how I actually make my chart layouts. So let me quickly show you how I do it. So on Thinkorswim, on the main home screen, go to the Charts tab, and then right under it, click on Flexible Grid. This option allows me to put multiple charts on one window. So once that's checked, I'm going to go over here to the right, click the drop-down menu with the 3 lines on it, and click Detach. So now I have this pop-up chart window on its own. Next, I'm going to click the grid drop-down menu, the one that looks like a tic-tac-toe box, and make sure Customize Grid is checked. This brings up this option menu in the center here where I can add or delete charts on this window. Clicking the first box adds a chart vertically, clicking the second box adds a chart horizontally, and the last box deletes a chart. The cool thing about Thinkorswim is that I can add as much charts as I want and customize the layout however I want. But for this example, let's say I want a grid of 3 by 3. Then I would simply add charts to the right, then add charts below. And since I'm only using this for charts, I like to have all the sidebar boxes unchecked so it's not in the way. And then I'm going to go back to that same drop-down menu, the one that looks like the tic-tac-toe box, and now uncheck the Customize Grid since I'm done making my layout. So now if I type in a symbol here, you'll notice it has the default settings on all the charts. So all I need to do now is change the settings to however I like it. I already have my settings saved, so all I have to do is load it on the charts. Now here's a huge tip. I don't want to change these charts one by one. I don't have time for that shit. So here's what I do. Right click on the chart and go to Styles. Then Settings. And under the General tab, I go down to My Tools and select Single Panel. This brings up the My Tools panel where I can add buttons. Then click the gear icon on it at the bottom and click Add Button. Then under Style, you'll see your saved chart settings that you can add. I already did, so I'm just going to click Done. So now if I go back here to my layout, I have to first populate every single chart with a symbol, and I can easily do that by going to the 3-line drop-down menu again, then load symbols to cells, and choose whatever. Now make sure the window is selected, and now if I click one of the saved styles that I want from my toolbox, this will change all the charts at once on this grid, as you can see. So this is a huge time saver for me because throughout the day, I like to change time frames to condense the candles on the charts. Because if I just stuck with the 1 minute all day, it'll be much harder to read as the day goes on. Remember, these are just for my scanning charts. So I have each style saved by the time frame I want. So now I want to go back to that drop-down menu with the 3 lines and click Clear Symbols. Then go to the tic-tac-toe drop-down menu and save the flexible grid. So every day I can just load up a fresh one. So now let me show you how I have it all set up. So I put a couple of 8x7 grid for my side monitors, which totals out to 56 charts on each screen. And then here I put a 5x10 grid, so 50 charts on this screen. And this is the screen I put all of my top watches on, everything from my favorite gaps, things over on my carryover list, my scalp watches, all go on the screen closest to me. The second screen is where I put the rest of the gaps list, stock that may be interesting for later in the day if they set up for me. And then this third monitor is my scanning monitor. So outside of my gaps list, I have an entire stock universe I can scan through by sector because there's going to be gaps I may have missed or stocks that are moving even if they didn't gap. Maybe some news comes out in the middle of the day or whatever. So what I'm doing is I'm basically flipping the stock market upside down, inside out, looking for every opportunity possible leaving no stones unturned. So the market is now open, and I'm actually in the process of recording another live trading video for the week of December. And just wanted to show you in real time what this looks like. I don't know if you can see it, but all of my charts are loaded up. I like to separate the gap ups from the gap downs. And what I do is throughout the day, I'm constantly scanning and seeing if I come across any of my setups or if I see anything interesting. I'll see what symbol that is, and I take that and throw it onto my main PC. Now my main PC, this is where I have all of my multiple timeframes, remember? So I'll load it up onto my multiple timeframes to analyze it. It's almost like I'm throwing it under a microscope to really dissect the setup to see if there's a trade in it for me. Sometimes it'll turn out to be a trade, and a lot of times it gets thrown back into the pool and the cycle repeats. So that is the process of how I find my trades. This is what works for me, having a plan before the market opens and organizing that plan onto my charts so that I'm ready to go at all times. So with that information, do what you wish. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. As always, I appreciate you for being here, and I hope to see you on the next one.